Hey guys, so you may have seen a few new cases pop up in your feed from Computex this year, like Thermaltake's new level 20 lineup, Deepcool's new Matrix series, and maybe even Coolmaster's new C700M. Ironically though, the highest level of case innovation wasn't happening on the show floor. Instead, it was from SFF Lab in their private suite, showcasing their new Chimera Mach 1, which they're planning to release towards the end of this year. Before that though, a quick word from MSI for making this trip possible. Thinking of upgrading your gaming monitor? MSI Optics MPG curved gaming monitors come packed with a 144Hz refresh rate, 1800R curvature, and up to a 1440p resolution. And for a limited time, include a free SteelSeries Prism RGB mousepad and Steam Wallet gift card with every purchase in selected countries. See the link in the description to upgrade your game with MSI. So here's the Mach 1, and easily the biggest highlight for me at Computex this year. It's an 18.5 litre compact enclosure with aluminium and tempered glass panels, room for water cooling, and support for up to a 280mm radiator, and not a small one either. This one was 60mm thick and was cooled with Noctua's 140mm fans. Now, SFF Lab told me there are a few different motherboard and GPU configurations for the Chimera Mach 1. The beast that you see here is a fully water-cooled X299 ITX system with what looked like a GTX 1080 Ti and also an Elgato 460 capture card running behind it via an M.2 to PCI Express riser cable. As you can see, it's using the back-to-back layout that we traditionally see in these volume optimized enclosures like with the DNA4, and here the power supply sits underneath the motherboard. Only SFX and SFXL are supported here, but with options from Silverstone going up to 800 watts and with an 80 plus titanium rating, I wouldn't say that you're very limited. The system on display was a 10-core i9 7900X using ASRock's X299 ITX board, and that's getting some great coverage by the monoblock. The pump and res running the loop is EK's Bay Pump Res DDC combo, and this fits in a 5¼ inch bay towards the front and at the top, and runs the loop quite well. Now, motherboard I/O will be facing upwards, at least for the two configurations I've seen on display, and cables can be passed through the gap at the top, which also acts as a handle. Okay, so I mentioned the different configurations, and the one that we're looking at there uses a divider in the middle to accommodate that back-to-back layout for the motherboard and graphics card. Here we can also see how a micro ATX motherboard can fit in this case with ASRock's Threadripper X399 micro ATX board. SFF Lab told me that if you do go with the micro ATX board, you will be able to fit a 240mm radiator in the front no matter what the thickness, and you could also use a similar cooling setup as the build that we looked at earlier. Air cooling of course would be no issue as well, and they did confirm that breathable side panels would be an option for those who prefer that, but the tempered glass just looks insanely good. In fact, for a prototype, the Mach 1 was pretty much flawless from every angle, from both the motherboard side and on the GPU side. The front panel as well is quite a big talking point. It's aluminium with a slightly brushed finish, but not too aggressive, and there are thousands of holes precisely punched in for improved airflow to the fans. What's amazing here is how the holes still maintain that correct spacing and shape even when the panel is curved around the edges. The side panels slide up and down on soft rubber grommets, which allows for a flush, clean look on the outside with no thumb screws or anything like that, and the tempered glass being used is 1.5mm thick, or thin rather, sits behind the panel and is not tinted. I've got to say I really like the look of it, and I hope they keep it that way for the final product. Now, speaking of the final product, I did ask SFF Lab on what their plans are in terms of different versions, pricing, and things like that. Basically, it is early days, but they are expecting to release the Mach 1 across a few different configurations depending on what the customer wants. The bare configuration with no PCI Express riser cards or dividers involved would start at a roughly similar price to the other options on SFF Lab, which lands us at around $200 US, and then the models with the motherboard and GPU divider and then PCI Express riser cards would understandably cost a bit more. Overall, I've got to say this is one excellent piece of work. For those who are interested in small form factor cases but are not interested in limitations, this one is for you. The fact that you can comfortably fit a water-cooled X299 system and a full-length GPU and still have room for something like a capture card in there is absolutely mental. This case would be perfect for those who have computationally demanding jobs like like 3D artists, professional video editors, or even streamers who need to be able to move from place to place and even fly to different countries with their system. I'd love to hear what you guys think of Chimera's new Mach 1 down below, and if this maybe is a bit overkill for you. SFF Lab are the primary marketplace for cases like the Ncase M1 and Dan A4, so I'll leave a link to them down below if you want something a little bit smaller and a little bit more modest. Thank you all so much for watching, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you all in the next one.